Hello, I'm PJ Bishop. Welcome to my channel and the new series with the Oakland A's. I did forget to go over one thing, and that was the front office, the goals that was set aside for me. So team record right now is don't suck completely, so I don't know what that means. Does it mean not to lose 100 games? Because last year there were 50 and 112. I barely made it to the 30% mark, and the year before there were 60 and 102. So back-to-back seasons with 100 losses or more after compiling a winning record for 4 seasons in a row, including that was the COVID season. So the last 2 seasons have been extremely terrible, especially last year of 50 and 112. It's one of the worst records probably of all time for them, even for them. Upgraded position, catcher. I don't know if Shea Langeliers will qualify as that. We'll see how he plays. He has a chance to be that upgrade. Find a top 20 prospect. Currently, it's Jacob Wilson, ranked around number 82. I think it was their last year's first-round pick. I can't remember for sure. But I got 3 years to get that going. I think I can do that. Build my farm to a top 6. Currently 28th, was 28th when I started, so it's one of the worst farm systems in all of baseball, which is really pathetic considering how bad they have been. You know, I guess they weren't picking that high if they were finishing here pretty well. But the last 2 years, you figure, I think they got unlucky with the lottery, as they couldn't end up grabbing the Paul Skeens, or I think they were probably out of the top 5 then, and grabbed nobody that was, because that top 5 would have made them a lot better if they grabbed either Paul Skeens, a Wyatt Langford, Dylan Cruz, Max Clark, or a Walker Jenkins. Definitely would have raised their farm system and would have looked much better for them. Even getting an arm like Paul Skeens would have been so exciting for them. But unfortunately, they got kicked out of the top 5. But I got 3 years to build that up, and I should. Improve fan interest. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. Hopefully we can. We got to show them. I only get 1 year to do that, which is interesting, because I don't think I'm going to be that good. And then, of course, build a team to make the playoffs. I have 5 years to do that. I believe I'm able to get fired, right? Am I able to get fired? Yes, I can. So I can get fired. Anyway, in this video, we're going to go over the top batting prospects I have, which I always make a prospect list for. So let's go to top prospects. And here we are. So for the purpose of this video, I keep it for guys that are under the age of 25, as that makes them more exciting as far as prospect level is concerned. I'm not really doing any veterans that are 28 that are playing at AAA, but are good enough to be considered quote-unquote prospects. So our best batting prospect right now is right fielder Lawrence Butler, currently at AA Midland. He looks like I think eventually he's going to slide over to left. He's playing right field for AA, but his future looks like he could also play center field. He could play center or left. He can really play all the outfield positions. He's got power. He projects to have plus power, average contact, strikeout rate is going to be average, and eyes above it. So he looks like he'll be a solid hitter overall, solid on the base pass, and a good defender. So he's got the whole package to be a true major leaguer. I think he's got the package to be a full-time outfielder, not a platoon guy. So it will be exciting to get him going. Although he made an appearance for them last year. I don't know why the game does that, because technically he's not on a minor league contract. He is on the 40-man roster, and but for some reason the game doesn't. I don't know why the game doesn't do that. I really don't know why they do it that way. Because he's definitely not on a minor league contract. He's, as you can see here, he played last year. Didn't do very well, but did play. He was pretty beastly at AAA, and he did very well at AA as well. We'll see what he does. He's going to start off at AA this year again. That's more based off of overall ratings than anything else. If it proves to be too easy, obviously I'll promote him. But my philosophy is to not to rush anybody through. I like for them to prove themselves at every level and move them up. I have no interest in starting their service time too early because we're not going to be able to afford to keep them anyway. Our next best player is first baseman Miles Naylor. He's currently in the Arizona complex. 18-year-old, very young. Now, I'm curious to know, is this guy related to Bo Naylor and name is missing me, Bo Naylor. Is it James Naylor? First baseman for Cleveland and the catcher for Cleveland. Is he the third brother of the group? Because I think they're Canadian, and the name is too familiar. The fact he's Canadian, I wonder if they're related or not. Very curious about that. Young kid. They had him at low A last year, where he struggled. I'm going to stick him in the Arizona complex, where he has a chance. He's still a teenager, and he'll be a teenager for this entire season. So it's okay to leave him there but he looks like he's going to be a true first baseman. He can play third as well. He's already got third under his belt. Not a very good defender there. He's got the arm strength to be at third. If we can improve that defensively going forward, he'll be a more valuable third baseman. He's got the power for third. He's also got the power for first, where he'll be playing in the Arizona complex. Get him some versatility going where he can play both the corner positions. Because looks like he'll develop into a good hitter, which will make him a full-time first baseman, a fringe third baseman if he happens to be the best option available. Then we have center fielder Denzel Clark, 23 years old, another Canadian, 23 years old, currently at AA Midland. He's nearing his full potential. Again, another guy that can probably stick it out at center field, can play all three outfield slots. I do like the fact that our outfielders right now are extremely versatile and capable of playing multiple positions in the outfield. He looks like he's going to develop it to an average hitter. He's got good base. He's good. Even though he shows up as average as far as potential, I like him. He's got the potential to be a full-time player at either left field or a center fielder, if need be, a right fielder, although not ideal because of the arm strength. But we can train that over the offseason. That's what the development lab is for. We can put him in the development lab and get that arm strength going. He did really well for AA last year, so I can't imagine him being in AA much longer. Perhaps maybe another month, if he's just absolutely crushing it. But usually, like I said, I like to keep him slow and steady, and we'll get him up. The next best prospect is first baseman Max Muncy at High A Lansing. So another first baseman, not quite the power guy, so it really wouldn't fit the power mold. It's pretty decent at second base, so potentially could see himself at second, but adding first base to his repertoire will make him a super. I think he's destined for a super utility role, or a utility role, not a super utility. I think a super utility is a guy who can play outfield and infield. But if he can get first base under his belt, he'll have the entire infield no worse than average as far as potential capability defensively. So definitely someone worth rostering if he makes it up, because looks like he's gonna come out to be an average hitter, slightly dangerous on the base pass. Jack of all trades, but the master of none. Maybe second baseman he can master it, but definitely someone that I could see as a valuable bench piece because of his ability to play the entire infield. And he's going to have decent power and bat-to-ball skills, strikeout. He looks like he could be a good player. Next best player is center fielder Lazaro Armentaris, he's currently at AAA Las Vegas. He's out of Cuba. 24 years old, so he is really up there as far as his age is concerned. Before you want to see them be promoted and start actually playing. Because although he doesn't look all that great offensively, he's destined for left field in the majors. He's probably my best center field option in the minors, AAA, but I don't think he doesn't have the range to stick it out at center field. He'll be somebody that we're going to move to left field when it's time to do so. Average looking hitter, maybe even below average. Avoid K is what's going to keep him down. This is the big reason why he's not going to be much better than a below average player. He's just going to strike out too much and not really provide enough power to justify the strikeouts. Unless that changes, or we have a poor scouting on him, he's a fringe player that's probably going to be up and down a lot until he's out of options, and then we're going to really decide what to do with him. Next one is right fielder Henry Bolte. He's currently at Low A Stockton. 20-year-old young player. Looks like he could be a left fielder or right fielder. Good enough at both. The power is definitely there. His issue is going to be the strikeouts. I mean, he struck out 164 times at Low A. So that tells you a lot. Striking out at Low A. So he's not even handling Low A pitchers very well. So it's not going to translate well as you keep moving up the ranks, and the pitchers are better, more experienced, with better repertoires. But the power is there. He's got the power. He's got plus power. He just needs to be able to curb those strikeouts, because he's not, if he was a center fielder, it would be a little different because he could provide us good defense, but he's not really destined for center field, left or right, where his bat does profile well. Just needs to somehow develop a slightly better avoid case. Hopefully our coaching can get him up. Next prospect is center fielder Brayan Puelvas at High A Lansing. Again, he's definitely destined for left field, although his power doesn't suggest that I want to keep him there. He doesn't look like he's going to. I guess his gap power is pretty nice. Because as a hitter, he's not the best. His greatest strength is probably coming on as a pinch runner, where he's able to make some headway on the base pass. But still fairly youngish. He could develop into something better, maybe. We'll find out once we start scouting him. But he's more of a threat to be on a base pass. Definitely a bench player. A fringe major leaguer. I don't know if he'll make it up, or not. He can only call up so many guys. There's only so many slots available. Eventually, he could end up being a trade piece down the road. Okay, then we got third baseman Jordan Diaz, currently at AA Midland. Looks like he's got a really high avoid Ks and potentially a high contact. With a low I, this guy is destined to hit for a high average. The issue is he's, position-wise, is not very good at anything. He's above average first baseman, but with no power. He would be a highly unconventional first baseman, someone who's hitting for average, and that's not really what I want out of my first baseman. And he's not a very good third baseman either, but he's the best option, I guess, at AA. So he's, again, one of those guys that probably going to end up getting traded because the power just isn't quite there for me to want to field him as a first or third baseman. Then next guy is first baseman Tyler Soderstrom at AA Midland. Now he does have power. He's got plus power. The avoid case is average, so that's good. So he's going to be able to not be a strikeout machine. Currently rated for catcher, but I think he's going to end up being a solid first baseman. Good enough first baseman. And anytime I can get my catchers playing first and catcher, I think that raises their value significantly, as I don't have to roster extra first baseman. For me, that's huge. Getting guys able to play first base that can also play other positions, for me, raises the value, because I hate rostering someone whose only skill set is playing first base. And he's got the power to play first, and he'll be not a solid defender at catcher, so his offense has to come into play if he wants to make any sort of impact on a major league roster. And he's had some experience. Again, I don't know why they do it like this. He's definitely on a 40-man roster. He's definitely not on a minor league contract. I don't understand the logic of that. I guess it gives us a better chance to do what we feel like doing, but I don't really care about that. I'd rather jump into the game the way it is. Our next prospect is Jacob Wilson, shortstop Jacob Wilson, currently at High A Lansing. This kid, I thought he was ranked 82. Was that? Or was that another guy? Did I read that correctly? I don't know. I like him. He's probably going to end up being a second baseman. That looks like his best position in the future. So he doesn't have to hit for power. He just needs to be good enough offensively. Looks like he is. Eventually, once he fills out, although he's getting close, he's going to be 22 this year. Offensively, he's going to hit for average. He should be a guy that hits for, as he's doing here, 455 over in Arizona, and last year High A, hitting for 318. Yeah, so his average is what he's doing. He should hit for high average. He's a really good defender. I think he's someone that can definitely hit in the 2 or 3 hole, because I like guys that can advance the runners and get things going. And he looks like he's capable of doing that. The power is just going to be below average, so he might be able to still get 15 home runs a year, especially if he's a full-time player, which I think he can be. With that contact and avoid Ks, there's no reason why he can't be a full-time second baseman. And he truly is a much better second baseman, which then I can essentially slide Zach Geloff over to third, where he fits better with his capability of playing with his arm strength. So it'd be a win-win in my opinion. Not quite good enough at shortstop. I don't like the range. As you can see, he would just be above average. The range isn't quite there yet. The arm strength really isn't there. So second base is really his best calling. But the fact he can play in the outfield as well is, worst case scenario, he's a super utility. Best case scenario, he's my full-time second baseman who's hitting at least 300 plus with 15 home runs. And can he steal bases? I forgot to check that out. And he can steal bases. So 15 homers, maybe 30 stolen bases, and then really good defense at second base. I think that's a win-win-win. Even if it's 45 overall, I think, in my opinion, that seems to be higher than a 45 as far as. That's why you can't always go off of, potential's 45, he must be below average. He might provide you above average play when you combine all his skill sets together and what they actually translate to on the field. Next player is second baseman Urubuel Angelis. He's currently at low A Stockton. He's injured. Just food poisoning. Must have had a terrible Chinese food. Could be Chinese. It could be Indian street food. That seems to be the new gross thing. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos. Disgusting. Don't watch them. I don't know how Indian street food just looks. Yeah. But similar to Jacob Wilson, he looks like somebody that can hit for a high average. But unlike Jacob, he's not as talented at second base. He's also not as versatile, and his power is extremely lacking. He has essentially no power. He's not walking, though. He's literally... So he still should hit for a high average, but he's not going to give you that 15 home runs. He'll probably barely get 5, if 5 at all. He's destined to get less than 5 home runs a year. But someone that should hit for a high average. But he's more of a backup option. More than likely, he's probably going to get traded. I can't imagine wanting to roster him full-time because I just don't see him being a big enough impact when I have guys already better than him the same age. And next prospect is left fielder Angel Arvelo. He's currently at the Arizona complex. He's here more because of this. If this can somehow change, this is why I have my coaching. This is why I hired one of the best staffs in the entire league, both American and National League, because I want to make sure that if they have potential somewhere, perhaps we can change something here to make him more playable. Because as of now, he's not going to make a major league roster, at least not mine. Even if he adds more positions, like he's going to add left field, but he's not going to be good enough. He's not going to provide enough offense to justify taking a one of the 26-man spots. And then the last batter we have is second baseman Casey Yamachi. He is also at the Arizona complex, fairly old for Arizona complex, 23-year-old. Again, similar to the last guy, good on the base pass, a fringy defender at whatever position he's playing. Nothing great. And but offensively is where he's struggling. So if he doesn't pick up offensively, again, I don't see him being in the majors, just not quite good enough to take a spot. So that's it for the batters. The next video will be the pitchers, and then we can begin actual play, which I will be playing every game, game by game, inning by inning, bat by bat, at bat by at bat. So it'll take me longer to get through. I won't be able to fly through videos. It takes time to play those games out, especially if you're trying to win as many as you possibly can and micromanage it the best of your ability. So that's it. We'll go over the pitchers and then we'll begin play.